ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदि कवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आविश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, verse number 21. These are prayers of Lakshmi Devi to Lord Kamadev in Ketumala Varsha. So in the previous verses he was saying that those women who worship the Lord to get a husband, they are not very intelligent because they don't understand that the husband they get is not able to protect them because he cannot even protect himself. So the only solution is surrender to the Lord, and then only one can become free from fear. So then she continues, Yatasya te pada saroruharanam निकामे तसाखिल कामलंपटा तदेव राशीप्सितोर्चितो यद भग्नयांचा भगवन् प्रतप्यते. So when she is talking about the other who worship the Lord without any material desires, so what is their situation? That those who worship, she says, the feet of the Lord, not desiring anything, then all their desires get fulfilled. So it is very interesting that when you want to worship the Lord with some material desires, then maybe some of your desires are fulfilled, but then other remain. fulfilled. So that message, okay, you cannot hear. So this microphone is working in this? This is your computer?
This is Seth's computer, is your computer.
Are the microphone working? Because they cannot hear.
Seth, उसका माइक्रोफोन काम कर रहा है? माइक्रोफोन काम कर रहा है आपका लैपटॉप में? कोई साउंड नहीं है।
You have external?
हम ठीक। You mean this one?
First one. Maybe this one. Haribol, can you hear now? Okay, now they can hear. So then I can hear other instrument. Can you hear now? So she continues to pray that the desires of a woman who worships without any intention to ask the Lord for anything, all her desires are fulfilled. Of course, what is the meaning that all desires are fulfilled if she has no desire? What does it mean? If they are niskam, it says that those who are worshipping in the niskam, everything disappeared. Start broadcasting and start recording. So what did you do? Everything went off, chat also went off.
You're still on.
Take few seconds.
It's less broadcasting. This screen disappeared from here. Okay, I don't know whether they can hear or not. So, there's a commentary on this. किंच निष्काम भजने प्रार्थिता एव सर्वे कामा भवन्ति सकाम भजने तु कामित मात्रम अनित्यम चैत्य. So if you worship the Lord without any material desire, then whatever you don't ask, they all get fulfilled. And the question is that you don't have desire, so what is that you have? That means you're like playing a trick or what? You worship the Lord, you don't ask, but inside you are thinking, because I don't ask, He will fulfill all my desires. Right? This is some kind of a trick.
Ego.
Because otherwise, what does it mean that all the desires get fulfilled if there is no desire? So this is something we have to think about. Because sometimes people do that I don't ask. When you ask, it is better. When you don't ask, then you are worse than the one who is asking. Because you want more. You are not saying it.
This is not the intention.
Hmm?
Must not be the intention.
Yeah, this must not be the intention, but many times this is the intention of people. So sometimes sakam is better than niskam, because sakam has some fixed idea that this is what I want. And niskam, you don't know what he wants. It's like sometimes you hire a rickshaw. So one is you fix the rate, okay, I'll charge 20 rupees, I'll drop you there. Finished. You go, he takes 20 rupees. And then they will say, de dana jo bhi dena. You give what?
That's more costly.
Right? You give whatever you want to give. And then you think, oh, this guy is very nice. So then you sit down and then you give him 20 rupees. And he says, what? 20? Then he starts fighting with you. So that sakam is better. This is like fixed, I want 20, I will do this and finished. My relationship with you is over. And this other guy is not saying it, but he's thinking that if you give 100, he will keep quiet. Or maybe he will still say, give me more. And if you give less, he's going to obviously make noise. So this is niskam. So he says that one who is niskam, then all his desires which he has not prayed for, they get fulfilled. So that means inside niskam there is sakam. And one who is a sakam, his desire is only fulfilled what he asked for, and that also temporarily. Yastri tasya uplakshnasya ta pad padma pujam eva nitram kameyet netu phalantaram sakhileshu kamesu lampata sarvaneva kamam prapnoti. So he says the woman who worships your lotus feet as they are described in the previous verse, and nitram kameyet, and this is only the desires he has, no other desire. So it says that all her, she doesn't want anything else. Sakhilesu kamesu lampata sarvaneva kaman prapnati. Then all her desires are fulfilled. What it means is that, that is one meaning which we explained, but the meaning here is that she has no desires. It's as if everything is fulfilled. Not that she was hiding desires and they get fulfilled. But she does not desire anything else, and therefore she is as if everything is fulfilled. Right? So there are two ways of fulfilling all your desires. One is when you don't have any desire, and one is that when you have desire and they get fulfilled. So this is what he means, that because they have the Lord, so where are the desires? Lord himself is called Kamadev. Kama also means desire. Means he is Lord of desires. So if you have him, from where else the desire will come? Because the desire is the source, is the master. So that's what it means.
Could it also mean spiritual desires?
Yes, spiritual, material. She has spiritual desire, but she only wants service to the Lord. That is the only spiritual desire. What else is spiritual desire? Spiritual desire is only one, and material desires are many. Bhaushakhyanantasya buddhya vyavasayinam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that it's stopping broadcasting now. My automatic it stops.
Internet problems. So
No, but this is showing here.
Is it the old version or the new version?
It's new. I was having problem that it was not recording sometimes. But now it is also not broadcasting. So he says that Bahushakha hi anantascha buddhiyo avyavasayinam. Then those who are not devotees, their minds are many branched, many divided. And those who are devoted to the Lord, then they are one-pointed. So why one-pointed? Because they have only one thing in their mind. Their mind is not running after many things. यथा तु ईप्सितं प्रति ईप्सितः फलान्तरं प्राप्तुम् अपेक्षितः सन् अर्चितो भवसि तस्य तदेव एकं राशि ददासि. So one who is desiring and he is asking for some fruit which is other than devotion, फलान्तरं प्राप्तुम् अपेक्षितः सन् अर्चितो भवसि, and he worships the Lord. So then he says that you give only that much to that person. तस्य तदेव एकं राशि ददासि. यद्यतः फल भोग अनन्तरं भग्ना वाञ्छया याचितो अर्थो यस्य सा प्रतप्यते दुःखं प्राप्नोति. And then what happens? That enjoyment or object which he has acquired, then it comes to an end, because anything material is temporary. So then all his begging comes to an end. Then he laments. Then naturally he laments, because once you have some power, some position, some facility, and then you lose it, then naturally what happens? You lament. If you are always eating halwa and then it is stopped, then you start complaining. What is this now, khichdi? But if you never got halwa, you are happy with khichdi only. So therefore he says that तदेव राशि ईप्सित ईप्सित अर्चितो यदि भग्न यांच्या भगवान प्रतप्यते. So then one laments. मत प्राप्ते ये ससुरा सुरादय तप्यन्ते उग्रं तप इंद्रिये धेयः विते भवत्पाद परायणात्मा मां विन्दन्ति हं त्वं हृदयाय तोजिता. So now she says that for
No singles.
no
Alt.
okay.
Sorry.
Not all. So he says that there are people starting from Brahma, Shiva, all the suras, asuras, they do ugra tapa, severe penances for attaining Lakshmi. Lakshmi's grace everybody needs. Because what can you do without Lakshmi? The world, is going through economic crisis. That is the big problem. All the time we read newspaper and the production went down 5.7%. Dollar went down 20 paisa. Everywhere it's all about economy. So everything runs on Lakshmi. And if you don't have Lakshmi, then you have to go to somebody else. Because some people say, well, I don't care for Lakshmi. Because you eat, somebody has to give you. How does that come? So nobody can survive, even if you have to eat potato. It also costs money. And of course, khichdi is even more expensive. And dal is so expensive. And if you want organic dal, then double the price. So Lakshmi is everybody wants, even Brahma wants. Because Brahma also has to eat. So they all have powers. So without Lakshmi, even Narayan is called Daridra Narayan. Nobody will worship Narayan if there is no Lakshmi. So he is worshipped always with Lakshmi, and he keeps Lakshmi on his chest. He is the most clever guy. So it's under the shirt. Like you have your money belt inside, and it's keeping Lakshmi hidden. So that's what Lord Narayana does. He keeps it hidden. He doesn't have a shirt, so he cannot do that. So he just puts it on his chest. It's like they're planning that in future everybody will have a chip inserted inside, where you will have all your program, your data, your bank account, your key to your house, for your car, for your garage, everything will be in the chip. All you have to do is just put the chip and it will open. So, like that, Lord is keeping the chip here, Lakshmi, in the form of this Srivatsa mark. So no one can take it from him. If it is outside belt, someone can steal it. So everyone else is trying to worship to get this. So he says that, O Ajita, to achieve me, whether it is Brahma, Rudra, all the Suras, Asuras, they do very intense austerities. Because all Lakshmi means all pleasure, happiness, whatever comes from her. But no one can really attain her except a devotee, because she is with the Lord. So only those people who surrender to the Lord, they attain Lakshmi. So Brahma, Shiva, they are all devotees, of course. So they are able to get, otherwise not possible.
What about all these people who were billionaires and they are not devotees?
Well, this comes and goes. This is material Lakshmi. This is spiritual Lakshmi. It is just a shadow of that Lakshmi. It's paper money. What is there in it? So these people have some permanent wealth like Brahma, Shiva. Even if there is economic crisis, nothing happens to them. Many billionaires became millionaires 2 years ago. Right? And they committed suicide, some of them. Because it was too much intolerable for a billionaire to become a millionaire. He thought, I became a poor. I'm poor.
It's like the hollow and the kitchen.
Yes. Somebody coming down from Hello to Kishudi. He says, better I die than eating Kishudi. So they were so depressed that they committed suicide. So what happened to their Lakshmi? So this is not Lakshmi. Lakshmi also actually signifies auspiciousness. So it comes from the Lakshmi Dhatu, which simply means a symptom, sign of beauty, greatness. So this is all shadow. It's not with them. Because really, how did they lose? Because the stock market went down. So they read it in the newspaper that I lost it. And before also they were reading newspaper that I have it. They never saw it. So now finally, they're just by reading newspaper, they're getting depressed. So a devotee who worships he says, without a devotee no one can actually attain me. Rite bhavat pada pada parayana. So only those who are parayana, surrendered, devoted to your feet, they mam vindati, and aham tvad hridaya yato adita, because I am in your heart. So it is not that she is on the chest of the Lord is keeping it, but she also wants, because her mind is fixed on the Lord. So that means the idea is that nobody can separate Lakshmi from Narayana. Therefore one of her name is Anapayani, inseparable. Although in past time we see that there is Viyog, Vipralamba, separation, because Rukmani was born somewhere and Krishna went and then they were married. So there seems apparent separation, but actually she is never separated from her during the past time. So because no one can separate her from the Lord, the only way you can get her is by getting the Lord. So therefore devotees are really intelligent when they worship the Lord. That is the meaning. So the commentary is that Kechit tu sakama tvam apahaya. There was something remaining in the previous commentary. So saiv niskama api sakam pad vachya bhaved ityato bhagvantam kame mana bhakta naiv sakam sabdena vachniya iti siddhanto vinjita. So he says that the devotees who are worshipping the Lord, desiring to get Him, they are not called sakama. Only if you have desire, material desire. Atri ipsitantar kamaya paritapha swasvabhava pratikula drishtya eva lakshma tam adikshipyanti eva ukta vastutastu sakam bhajnatapi kritartham upadishtad vakshate. He makes a good point here. He says that although Lakshmi is saying here that those who worship you with material desire, they suffer later on because their bhoga, their enjoyment comes to an end. But actually later on it will be described that even those who approach the Lord with material desire, Lord fulfills their material desire and then He takes away the material desire. So there is a verse later on saying that Lord, He puts His foot on the very source of desire, so then the desire does not come out. So that we have to understand, otherwise there will be contradiction between this verse and the later that verse. Kechit sakamastu tvamapahaya mameva bhajante tepi dhulimeva labhante iti tam nindante. He says there are some people who don't worship you and they worship me, Lakshmi Puja, without Narayan. So he says, what do they gain? They only get some dust by doing Lakshmi Puja. Why is that? Mat prapte brahmadeyas tapas tapyante kurvanti. To attain me, Brahma etc., they perform austerities. Andriya visha sukheva dhiryesham anuksamasaha tadapi bhavat prayana prite vinamam nata. So they do it for attaining some sense pleasure. but they cannot get, because except for the devotees nobody can get me. Mam mat kataksh vilashitam sampatti rupam lakshmi na labanta. Bhavat parayanaha prahlad dhruvadev vindanti. So only people like Prahlad, Dhruva Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, all these devotee kings, they get real Lakshmi. Yatu tvad bhakteshu api deva asuradishu sampadrishyate satu gunmai pratisva karma phala rupa maya shaktir durgaya eva prasadad va kamadi itar rang janika kadachit ki netu tot swarup bhutaya mame. So this question which was asked is answered here, that when it is seen that the non-devotees, some devas, some asuras, they are having wealth. So she says that wealth is not the spiritual wealth, that is gunamai, that is material. And pratisva karma phal rupa, that is just an outcome of their karma. And anything which is an outcome of karma is temporary. Yatha hi karma chito lokashiyate tatha mitrati. So just as whatever you gain by karma gets lost here, in the same way, even heaven or any other pleasure, if it is the outcome of karma, then it will be lost. So therefore it is temporary. And Maya Sakte Durgaya Eva Prasada, or it comes by the grace of Maya Sakti, Durga Devi. So this is not very great, it is only creating problem. Kamad itar Kamadi Taranga Janika. And what does this do, this wealth? It creates further desires for enjoyment. Because somebody is rich and not a devotee, what is he going to do with that money? Buy one more house, one more car, something. Become more entangled. Not going to be peaceful with it. And then he wants more money. And so number one, it creates kamadi tarang, the waves of desires, one after another. As soon as money comes in your pocket, then you think, you make plans. When money is not there, then you sit quietly. So that's why it is said, Daridryam Paramanjanam, Durmadam Dasya. So one who is become blinded by wealth, so what can open his eyes? Poverty. When he becomes poor, then he can see on the ground. When there is money, then he does not look at the ground, then he is blind. Durvinitas Madam. So this is Kadachitki, this goes away. Natu Tvat Swarup Bhutayam. It says these people don't have Lakshmi, which is your Swarup Bhuta power, the internal potency of the Lord, me, Lakshmi speaking herself. So there are two types of Lakshmis, the real Lakshmi and Maya Lakshmi. So when it is said that Lakshmi is Chanchala, which is also one of the names, that is the material Lakshmi. The spiritual Lakshmi is not Chanchala. Chanchala means flickering, moving. That's why it is called currency. Why they call it currency? Because it's like a current. It moves, right? Currency क्यों कहते हैं उसको? इसलिए कहते हैं ना, मूव चलते रहता है पैसा, एक जगह नहीं टिकता है, करंट की तरह से फ्लो, like a current of river. It moves, that's why they call it currency. So in Sanskrit it is called chanchala. So chanchala means which is always chaling. Chalo. Unstable. So spiritual Lakshmi is not like that. Spiritual Lakshmi is stable. So the opulence which Dhruv Maharaj had, Prahlad Maharaj or Yudhishthira Maharaj, they had spiritual opulence. So that's the difference. Mama Mayat to Abhavat. So he says that I am not made of Maya, devoid of Maya. Mat prasadotthaya sampatterapi tad vaimukhya apadukatva bhavat tatra hetu. So he says that the Lakshmi which will come by my grace, that will not create non-devotion in people. That will not make one proud. So when Lord Krishna says that yasyaham anugrunami harishya tad dhanam sanai, that when I bless somebody, I take away his wealth. So that is the material wealth. Then Sethji comes to you. Otherwise he will be going in a car somewhere in Singapore. That's it. So this is the blessing of the Lord. People think that he has become poor, but actually he has become rich. Because he has that wealth which no one can take away. No, it cannot be shared by anybody. This material wealth people can share. Your wife, your children can demand it. Rogues can steal it. But this wealth of devotion, that no one can take it away. So then you become real rich and peaceful, free from anxiety, and you relish it. So therefore Krishna says that I take away that wealth. And then if he gives, then that will be spiritual wealth. This means that that wealth will be used only for service of the Lord. One is not going to plan to enjoy with this. So Sudama came to see Lord Krishna. He was very poor. And Lord received him very nicely. So one of the very important pastimes of Krishna, receiving his friend who was so poor. But he came because his wife prodded him to go and ask some money because they were very poor. They had no even food to eat. No grace of Lakshmi. But Sudama could not muster up the courage to ask Krishna anything. He said, he is my friend, how can I ask him anything? So he stayed with Krishna for a few days. In the olden days, if you went to meet somebody, you have to stay at least 3 days minimum. Now you may stay maybe 3 hours. So Krishna treated him very nicely, gave him nice dress, everything. And then he was leaving. So when he was leaving, Krishna said that I think it is better you change your dress. Put on your old dress in which you came. And of course Krishna is very logical, he can give logic for anything. He says, not that I don't want to give this dress to you, but I am worried that if you go and on the path some thieves can murder you thinking you are a rich guy, you must have money. So your life will be in danger and I don't want that your life will be in danger, so you better put on your other dress. So Sudama, poor guy, walked in the same dhoti. And he was thinking, now when I go back, what am I going to tell my wife? Because he didn't get anything. So he came back to his hut, but to his utter surprise, he saw that his hut was not there. There was a big palace. So he thought that he has maybe lost direction. So he was going away. And then his wife came running out. And he did not recognize his wife because she was dressed like a queen. So she caught her hand and he said, what are you doing? Why are you catching my hand? He says, you are my husband. So he says, what are you doing here? He says, this is our house. So then Sudama was in tears to realize that how actually great is Krishna, because he didn't want Sudama to feel embarrassed. Because obviously if Krishna would have said, well, I am doing this for you, then he will feel, a little bit down. Then that Sakhya Bhav will become contracted, it will diminish. So he didn't want that. This is the generosity of great people, that they will give you without you knowing it. There is a real story I heard. This Hanuman Prasad Poddar, who was in charge of Gita Press. He died a few years ago. He also knew Prabhupada. Nice photo of him and Prabhupada in Leelamrita. So he was telling a story that in Bombay there was, he was a Marwadi from Rajasthan, and Marwadis, wherever they go, they are together, united. So he said there was this man, he was rich, doing good business. Usually Marwadis have money. So anybody who comes from Rajasthan, they will all help. They give him little money as donation or even on loan, and one will set up a business, he can return it later on. So some person, if he realizes that he is not having enough money, then he will give money. But his style of giving money was that he used to make a lot of yogurt in his house, and he used to give yogurt to people. So then he will send yogurt to this person in a pot, and inside the yogurt he will put some gold coin. So no one knows. So he says the idea was that this person should not feel embarrassed that I got money, and then whenever he sees, and he will keep quiet about it. He will not tell this to anyone. So this is generosity, that people give and then they don't advertise it. Put a stone in my name, I donate in this much. Right? So not like that. So this Krishna is giving this example that how he gave. So this was spiritual wealth. Because when Sudama came, then if you visit somebody's house, you don't go empty handed. So he brought some puffed rice, which was actually bagged from the neighbor, because they didn't have anything to eat. For 3 days they were doing vrat. Even the rats left their house. So this is a church mouse. So when Krishna met him, then they were talking, and then suddenly he was feeling very embarrassed to give this puffed rice here in the palace. Who will have it? What a gift he had brought. So he was trying to hide it somewhere like this in a stone cloth. And Krishna said that you didn't bring anything for me. And Sudama was thinking, this guy is living in a palace and he's asking. And obviously Sudama could not say no. And he was trying to make it even more concealed, And he says, come on, it is impossible that you come empty-handed. So then he started searching. And finally he got this. In one side of his cloth he had this puffed rice tied in. So Krishna opened it and he started eating it. Can you imagine? It's like worse than khichdi. And khichdi has some taste, Eating this puffed rice without anything, at least to put it in milk. So he ate once and he ate twice. And he was about to eat third time. Then Rukmani came and stopped. He says, what are you doing? You want to give me also to him out? Says, you have already given him the wealth of this world, the wealth of other world. And now if you eat the third, then I have to go with him. So this is his generosity, that what he gives without asking. So that is not kadachitki. So therefore he says that mat prasadat utthaya sampatterapi tvad vamukhya apadakatva bhavat. That this sampatti, this wealth, which comes by my grace, that will not make one non-devotee. So this is the sign, because externally you cannot figure it out. Externally there also it will, Sudama was having this wealth, he was also having same coins, whatever was. After all, they have to deal in the world, they cannot have a different currency. But what is the effect of it? So that's why previously sadhus were very careful to take donations from people who are not devotees or who are not of good character, because they worried that their money will influence them. This was the meaning. And it was always a pleasure to, when Rupa Goswami says, Dadati pratigranati goyamakyati puchati bhunkte bhojate sadvidhi priti lakshmi. That to give and accept. So you accept from devotees. That is not going to cause any trouble. So just as Lakshmi says, that's the wealth which comes by my grace, that is not troublesome. That will not create desires in the mind of people. Tatra hetu tvad hridaya tvad manaskan eva avalokayami nanya. So what is the reason for that? He is giving a hetu. This is the yukti called hetu artha yukti, tantra yukti. This is how they are used. So the yukti is that because she says here that I am tvad hridaya yata. So what yata tasmat hi, whenever you see them in Sanskrit, they are explaining some cause, reason. So it says, because my mind, my heart is fixed on you. So I can only look at somebody whose mind is also fixed on you. That is the reason. So therefore this he explains in these two verses how if we have to worship the Lord, we should not desire anything else, because Lakshmi will bless us anyway. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita there is a story about Raghunath Das Goswami, that he used to invite Lord Chaitanya. First he was getting money from his home because he came from a rich family. And then he realized that Lord Chaitanya was not happy with that, because this money was coming from these materialistic people. So then he started begging and then inviting. And then he was also not happy with that. So then he stopped even begging, and he was just eating some rice which was thrown, which even cows will not eat. He will take that, clean it, dry it, and then eat. So then Lord Chaitanya was happy, and he said that a devotee should not flatter wealthy non-devotees. So katham bhaste durm madan. There is a verse like that in Bhagavatam also. But why should a devotee worship, flatter, beseech, surrender just for the sake of wealth? We have faith in the Lord. Lord himself says, Yog Shema Vaham. So we should have this faith. But this does not mean that we don't do anything, but this is my idea. So we'll stop here if there is any question.
I have a question about this kind of mysterious thing that happens. This influence that accepting directly, as you say, from a person who is not a devotee or who have this like bad influence actually.
So what is the question?
And so the question is that how these things are working.
Well, working is that everything has some potency in it. And of course, if you are strong, then it doesn't matter. This is also the piece that we have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
If you use everything in service of the Lord, then it is not going to bother you. But when one is not very advanced, then you become influenced by it. The internet computer. Then you become influenced.
Is that the intention?
If you have nishtha, if you have attained fixity, if you are free from anarthas, then it will not influence you. But if you are still having anarthas in the heart, then they can feed it.
Another question that you say that the Lord is the source of everything. No? So then also about desires. Of course, it's easy to understand that He is the source of spiritual desires and so on, which is only one entry, spiritual. But what about these material desires? They are generated, they have also source, right?
Ultimately, He is the source of everything. Material energy is His energy.
So this idea to enjoy His opulence with everything is material.
And ultimately, that also says, Aham sarvasya prabhu matta sarvam pravartata, I am the source of everything. But because you want that to enjoy, so He says, okay. Without His support, nothing can work. So to see why this internet is not working? Is only for us or everywhere?